So recently, somebody invited me to an event called Videogames Unraveled. And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but they just said, it's video games and knitting. So I'm really curious to find out, is there a relationship between like coding and knitting patterns, for example? I don't know. We don't know what to expect, so let's head inside and see what we've got. This is Gaming Unraveled. And you're one of the organizers, so can you tell us where are we? What are we doing here?
Sure. I mean, I don't knit, but I have an appreciation for people who can do it and the intersections between textiles and coding and all that. That kind of interdisciplinary approach always interests me. It wasn't until I met Brenna that I thought we could actually make an event out of it.
I can find a way to bring most hobbies into a metaphor about knitting. I met Sagan at a charity knit-a-thon here.
I came up here just to work because this is like a co-working space. And there was a knitting circle. They were knitting toques for the Syrian refugees, and they're like, come join us. And I was like, I don't know how to knit. And then Brenda's like, I can teach you. And so she did, and she asked me what I did, and I said I run a video game organization. And you said, oh, I can't wait until Unravel comes out. And Unravel is a game that's over there where you play like this little yarn character. And I was like, you're a knitting instructor who likes yarn video games. This is perfect.
So I'm just sitting down with Brenna now, who's going to show me what to do, because I literally didn't know like what size goes with what or where to start. So gotta work your magic.
One end over the other, so we have a little loop to reach through. We're gonna reach through the loop, grab the strand that's underneath the other one, and pull it up to tighten. I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in my needle, just ignore.
Like, how do I make something awesome like that?
And take the needle away.
Put this through here, yeah?
Yeah, you just slide it on. Perfect. There you go. It's really, really cool to see such an ancient craft being adopted into something more modern that will give kind of like a fresh face. A lot of people have this image of knitting being strongly associated with like aging populations, which is simply not true anymore.
I would say video games have the opposite problem, where it's like it's just young men, and then that's like the only people that are. So it's kind of interesting to like bring those two things together.
I was like assuming like you could just have like games, like there are video games where you're actually like interactively knitting and things like that, and having knitting competitions. Like I don't know, like racing against like the computer, which is knitting.
Oh, that's
and like you'd be
idea,
trying to knit as fast as the computer, and you're like game over, they won before you.
I've always been making things with my hands, but not. But I'm also very impatient, and so when I found out about like knitting machines and industrial automation of clothing manufacture and stuff like that, I got very interested in that. So I'm just loading my thread into the carriage. The carriage can hold 2 different types of thread, and that lets you knit images in 2 colors. Yeah, it is strange the perception of knitting is so strongly I don't know what the right word is, aged and gendered. It is actually very technical, and there's a ton of math, and you have to pay so much attention to, counting all of your stitches and your pattern and all of these things, and it's you have to understand the materials and their physical properties, and yet computer dudes, all of those things are exactly the same in terms of what cognitive muscles you're engaging. It's all the same. So this is sort of supposed to be a sweater.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so this is my screaming face on a sweater.
So you have played this game before, or today was the first?
Oh, well, I've heard of this game. I've watched
Yeah.
videos, but I've been really excited for it. You're basically a figure made of yarn, and you're going through this world, slowly running out of it. And your goal is to kind of just like use your yarn to move through obstacles and all that stuff.
And so you're trying to get somewhere in the end, or like?
Yeah, you're solving puzzles by using like your yarn. Yeah.
Did you try knitting today? Like, did you?
I've tried crocheting before.
Yeah. You were into gaming before you were into knitting, is that right?
For sure, yeah. I was given a copy of Pokemon Red when I was 5, and I was already like so into the card game, and I really, 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 really loved Pokemon, and I watched the TV show, and yeah, so I was really, really into it. So here I have a little swatch that I made, throwback to Pokemon Red. I have my little trainer over here and my Pokeball. I lifted this straight from the game.
It's kind of interesting to see there's a lot of similarities between pixel art and textiles because you're sort of like doing like sort of one stitch at a time in a way.
So I would consider knitting to be a binary activity. It can all be simplified just to ones and zeros. It can get a lot more complicated than that, as can coding. But the bottom line is you have 2 basic stitch types, either like a yes or a no. Some people have done really cool stuff with this very simple concept. People have done like a whole square for each pixel and made giant blankets. And you can do so many things.
So yeah, it's really cool to see the mothers bringing in their sons because the mothers say, well, I really like to knit, but I don't play video games. But my son loves to play video games and he doesn't knit. And I guess it's cool that they have an event to come to together. But the next challenge, I think, is getting it so that the kids want to learn how to knit and the mothers want to learn how to play video games. 'Cause they're